Close your eyes for a moment and imagine it's 11 p.m. You've got a deadline tomorrow. Your phone lights up. Just a quick check, you tell yourself. Next thing you know, you're watching a video about how penguins propose to each other, reading a thread about someone's dramatic workplace exit, and ordering a gadget you never knew you needed. Sound familiar? Don't worry, your lack of self-control isn't the problem. Your brain is just really, really good at falling for the oldest trick in the modern world. Let's start with something that might shock you. Everything you probably know about dopamine is wrong. For years, we've been told that dopamine is the pleasure chemical or feel-good hormone, but recent research tells a completely different story. Have you ever wondered why you keep reaching for your phone even when scrolling isn't making you feel good anymore? Or why does that new game stop being fun but you keep playing anyway? That's because dopamine isn't actually about pleasure. It's about wanting and craving. Think about this. Have you ever been more excited about planning a vacation than actually being on it? Or felt more thrilled about buying something online than when it finally arrived? That's dopamine at work, and studies show people experience a 27% higher dopamine release during vacation planning compared to the actual vacation. It's not the celebration, it's the anticipation that gets your heart racing. It's like having a movie trailer that's more exciting than the actual movie. Dopamine is the trailer, not the feature film. Here's a fascinating experiment that changed everything we knew about dopamine. Scientists took 2 rats and set up a simple test. Both rats could press a lever to get food. Pretty basic, right? But here's the twist. They lowered the dopamine levels in one rat's brain. The rat without dopamine could still enjoy the food just fine. It wasn't like it lost its taste buds. But here's the wild part. It wouldn't even move to get the food. Meanwhile, the other rat was happily working away, pressing that lever like it was the best game ever. This completely changed our understanding. It's not about the joy of achievement. It's about the drive to achieve. Think of dopamine as the fuel in your motivation tank, not the destination. This discovery explains so much about human behavior, especially in our modern world full of instant gratification. Now, let's bring this back to our everyday lives. Have you ever wondered why it's getting harder to sit down and read a book? Or why that important project keeps getting pushed aside while you check just one more notification? We're living in a world that's basically become one giant dopamine casino, and our phones are the slot machines. Just think about this. The average person checks their phone 344 times per day. That's once every 4 minutes. And each time we check, our brains release up to 100% more dopamine than we get from eating our favorite food. Every notification, like, and new post, they're all tiny dopamine hits. But here's what nobody talks about. These quick hits are actually making it harder to enjoy the slower, more meaningful stuff in life. It's like eating candy all day, and then wondering why a healthy meal doesn't taste exciting anymore. Our brains are literally being rewired to crave these quick, easy rewards. The real thing? Our brains weren't designed for this constant stimulation. Back then, our ancestors got their dopamine hits from finding food or completing a hunt. These were natural cycles of effort and reward. But now, we've got an all-you-can-eat dopamine buffet right in our pockets, and our brains are struggling to cope. Think about social media for a moment. Every time you open an app, there's that split second of anticipation. What will you find? Maybe there's a new like on your post, or maybe someone sent you a message. That uncertainty, that anticipation, that's pure dopamine fuel. The apps are literally designed to keep you in this state of constant wanting. It's not just social media, online shopping, streaming services, video games. They all tap into this same mechanism. Ever noticed how Netflix automatically starts playing the next episode? Or how shopping sites show you recommended items right after you make a purchase? These aren't just convenient features. They're dopamine hooks, designed to keep you engaged. Here's where things get really interesting and hopeful. Once we understand how dopamine actually works, we can start using this knowledge to our advantage. Besides, studies show that neuroplasticity can increase brain matter density by up to 30% in areas related to learning and focus. Remember that rat that wouldn't move to get its food? Well, many of us are becoming similar. Not with food, but with activities that require effort and focus. The amazing thing about our brains is their adaptability. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, our brain's ability to rewire itself based on our habits and experiences. Just like we can train ourselves to crave quick dopamine hits, we can also train ourselves to find satisfaction in deeper, more meaningful activities. It's all about understanding what neuroscientists call dopamine space, the gap between wanting something and getting it. Think of it like this. When you're constantly getting quick rewards, your brain starts to expect them. It's like being used to microwaving all your meals and then suddenly having to wait for a slow-cooked dish. At first, the wait seems unbearable. But here's the cool part. If you stick with it, something amazing happens. Your brain starts to appreciate the anticipation. The process itself becomes rewarding. And the final result. It's so much more satisfying than any quick fix could ever be. This is why people who work out regularly often say they start to crave exercise, or why writers sometimes feel antsy when they haven't written for a while. These aren't just habits, they're rewired reward systems. Your brain literally changes its response to different activities based on how you train it. So, what does all this mean for those trying to get things done in a world full of distractions? First off, let's be real. We're not suggesting you throw your phone into the ocean or become a digital hermit. That's not practical, and honestly, it's not even necessary. What we need is something way more interesting, a dopamine reset. But that's not all. According to a study by Gloria Mark at the University of California, Irvine, it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to regain focus after an interruption. Think of your brain's reward system like a muscle. Just like you can't expect to lift heavy weights without training, you can't expect to focus deeply without building up that ability. Every time you choose to delay a quick dopamine hit in favor of working towards something more meaningful, you're essentially doing a rep for your focus muscle. The key is understanding that discomfort is part of the process. When you first start trying to focus on deeper work, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Your brain will scream for those quick hits it's used to getting. But here's the thing, that discomfort is actually a sign that you're rewiring your reward system. It's like the soreness after a good workout. It means you're getting stronger. Start small. Maybe it's reading for 15 minutes without checking your phone, or working on a project for 25 minutes straight before taking a break. Each time you do this, you're teaching your brain that delayed gratification can be more rewarding than instant gratification. Let's wrap this up by talking about what all this means for our future. We're not just fighting distractions, we're reshaping our relationship with technology and our own minds. And you know what? That's pretty exciting stuff. By 2025, the average person will interact with connected devices 4,800 times per day. Think about it this way. Just like we've learned to be mindful about what we eat, we can learn to be mindful about what we feed our brains. Every time you catch yourself reaching for your phone, that's an opportunity to make a choice. Not between good and bad, but about what kind of reward you want to pursue. The really cool thing? Once you understand how dopamine really works, those distractions start losing their power over you. It's like knowing how a magic trick works. It doesn't ruin the show, but it gives you a whole new appreciation for what's really going on. Here's something else to consider. As our world becomes more digital, the ability to focus deeply is becoming a superpower. While everyone else is stuck in the cycle of quick dopamine hits, those who can maintain sustained attention and find satisfaction in longer-term achievements will have a huge advantage. But remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about understanding and making conscious choices. Some days you'll crush it, focusing like a laser beam on your goals. Other days you might find yourself doom scrolling through social media. And you know what? That's okay. The key is awareness and gradual improvement. The goal isn't to never feel distracted or to completely eliminate quick reward activities from your life. The goal is to understand your brain's reward system well enough to make conscious choices about where you direct your attention and energy. Think about how different your life could be if you could harness your dopamine system instead of being controlled by it. Imagine being able to sit down and work on something fighting the urge to check your phone. Imagine finding genuine satisfaction in the process of learning and creating, not just in the quick hits of a digital validation. So next time your phone buzzes, remember, you're not just choosing between checking it or not checking it. You're choosing what kind of relationship you want to have with your own motivation and focus. And that's a pretty powerful thing to understand. What will you choose to focus on today? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe